Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for Delegation Workshop. It's so nice to have you here. And while we were waiting for more people to join to the room, we want to ask you something. So if you are too kind to join us in Slido, you can use the QR code in the screen or also go to slido.com. We want to hear your talks about this session. So we would like to ask you, what are your expectations for today? What do you think we are learning here? So please join us in Slido. Okay, two participants are already typing. Okay. Let's hear what your expectations are. Okay, the first one, new knowledge. Yeah, that's true. And we are always learning something new every day. I want to learn more about delegation experience. See more delegation people here. Yes, we have two speakers today who are really experienced in this delegation thing. So we hope they can share a lot of good knowledge to us. Okay, learn what to expect as a delegation member, how to interact with other parties during the meeting, and what IFSA expects from us. That's a really good one. And that's the main point that we are having this workshop. So that's a really good one. Thank you. To understand the essentials of being IFSA delegates, what to prepare prior to departure, and what to bring back from the delegation. Good one, good one. We hope we can achieve all this information. To know how to present ourselves and react during delegations. Hear more about people's experience. Thank you so much for your inputs. We hope we can answer all your questions today, but we have more activities prepared for the future. So this is a really good start. So thank you everyone for sharing your expectations with us. So now we are starting with our delegation workshop. So thank you so much for joining us. Just as a reminder, this activity is created between the Partners Commission and the International Process Commission. And the main point of this workshop is to build capacity on delegation processes, responsibilities, and the structure. And this is just the first step on this long journey that we are preparing for people interested in being a delegate. We are having some material available on the Tree Learning platform. So once this is ready, we will be sharing it with you. But this is just the start of this journey. So thank you so much. So now I'm going to explain a little bit more about the structure of today's workshop. We have two speakers. The first one is dedicated to the networking and partnerships. And the second one is about building a delegation. For this, we will be asking questions to our speakers, and they will be sharing a little bit more about their experience. And at the end of both presentations, you will have opportunity to direct some questions to both of them. So first of all, for our networking and partnership Q&A session, we have Volodymyr Kravets, our external counselor for this term. So Boba, thank you so much for joining us. Do you want to say something first?
Yeah, of course. Thank you very much for having me here. Maybe I can briefly introduce myself and my delegation experience before I start talking. So, you know, guys, what I've been through. So my name is Volodymyr Kravets. I'm originally from Ukraine, and I'm doing my first year master. I'm actually done with my first year, but I've been in IFSA since my second or first year of bachelor's, so quite for some time. And I managed to participate in the delegations in IUFRO World Congress in 2019, in UNFF Forest Policy in 2020, Then there was COVID, so there was no in-person delegations, but we still had some online participations where I joined as well. For example, for the FAO Forest Education Conference, and after the COVID, of course, I managed to join recently some very nice ones, I would say, as a COP27 and some other events that I think you might have seen on the website as well. So today I'll be sharing with you a little bit more about networking and how to communicate with partners. And yes, also just to mention about the partners. As an external counselor, I was working with our current partners, and I was the head of Partners Commission and head of FAO and UNFF Sub-Commissions back in the days. So I have quite some experience in communication with them, and I hope I will manage to share some tips for you that you will feel more confident and comfortable participating in our delegations in some nice events.
Thank you so much, Vova. You're really an expert on this matter, so it's really nice to have you here. So let's proceed with the questions. The first one is, what is the role of an IFSA delegation during a partner event?
Thank you very much, Just. It's a very good question. I would say that the most important thing for us as IFSA, what our role, right, that we are actually promoting IFSA values and advocating for YOS in forestry and related fields. So actually being as a delegation, we are trying to extend our network and find new partners, and not only partners who can give us opportunities, but our new members in new countries who would like to join our network and to get those opportunities as well. That's very important, and I would say that the core role, and I would say that it can be happening on a different ways. It can be happening through the side events that we are usually hosting on the big events, or we are co-hosting when we are talking about some important topics that usually as a YOS we are bringing up, as a forestry education or gender equality or job opportunities for YOS, or role of YOS in the current state of policies or science. So this way we are trying to show what IFSA is doing and what is the place for YOS. And since most of the participants right in the companies, they're not very much YOS anymore, we are taking this niche and trying to show our importance is that we need opportunities, that we want to action, and that we can do a lot of things. And I think this is very, very important role of IFSA delegation. Also, as a part of IFSA delegation, we're not only doing the official things at the side events, right? There is the communication happening on the ground, as we can say, like behind the negotiations or outside of the official table, when you go outside and you talk directly to the people who are actually present there. And these, I would say, the greatest and like very huge opportunities to create connections at that time and actually to promote our values. So you can just go to some other side events, listen to what they're talking about. If you like speaker, you can talk to them after the side event, or you can talk to the people who are present there in the auditorium as well. You can join some mentorship programs and try to figure out questions which are important for you, for example, if you're looking for some educational opportunities, and at the same time look for the place where IFSA can participate. If you see that, for example, some company or organization are looking how they can empower the YOS members and YOS workers in their company, if they are looking actually for the network to share the opportunities, then IFSA there for them to bring those people, and we are looking for the opportunities. So we need each other, and we better exchange contact, let's say. And yeah, as I was saying, when you're doing this communication, this way it's happening like the most beneficial for you and for IFSA, of course. This way you can create the opportunities for IFSA and for yourself. For example, if you're interested to learn about some specific topic, for example, urban forestry, and you're talking, for example, to a potential partner or to the organizations that you know that they're doing this, you can ask them if they're interested to organize some kind of educational event for the whole IFSA, and then you join yourself and you actually learn more about this topic. So by, let's say, pursuing your own interest, you're creating the opportunity for everybody, and thus not only you, but all the IFSA benefits from this, and the partner benefit as well, because they share what they're doing, they extend their network, and they have more attention to them, as well as you meet other people who are interested in the same topic, and you extend it. And I think this is kind of very interesting process, which has a lot of potential. So just, do you have any other follow-up questions on this, or I can keep going?
Thank you so much, Baba. It was a really good answer and really helped us to understand a little bit more about our part on during this event. And it's related to what you said just now. So now, how can being a delegate be used for networking?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's closely related to the previous one. So actually, yes, if you're the part of the IFSA delegation, you know we're doing side events, right? But you as a delegate, how can it be beneficial for you, right? How we can use this for networking. But let's start with general explanation. So as a part of the IFSA delegation, you actually have a group of people who are joining this event as you. So they are at the same situation as you are. They are students, they are on a big event. For example, they never traveled abroad as well, and they never participated in, I don't know, like COP with the 10,000 people present there, and everybody is overwhelmed, but you're there together, so you can support each other and share some tips on how to deal with that, because there will probably some more experienced people, some less experienced delegate who can help you with navigating through the event. For example, make your own schedule, or give you some tips on communication on their or share their network. And actually, if you're first time on the event and you don't have your network yet, that would be the entering point for you, because if there are more experienced people, they can introduce you to the partners, they can introduce you to their own network, to other students from other youth organizations. And this way you're creating your own network. That is, I would say, the first and the most beneficial thing from being a participant as a delegation. And of course, you're not getting lost, because to be honest, when I was first time on my delegation, I was 18 years old. I barely speak English, like not barely, of course, but like it still wasn't enough for the proper communication. And my first event was actually a UFRO World Congress 2019 in Curitiba, which is the biggest congress for like, let's say, scientific sector of forestry. And it was a lot of people, and I was in Brazil, even though I'm from Ukraine, and I was 18 years old, so I was quite overwhelmed. But I was very happy that I had the group of people from IFSA around me who was very experienced. Some of you might know Amos and Maximilian, who was the board back there, and they were present there as well. And it was very beneficial, because first, of course, you're overwhelmed, you're jet lagged, you don't understand what is happening, you meet a lot of people, you're excited and you are tired at the same time. But then after 1 or 2 days, yeah, you're getting your head around, you kind of you're realizing what is happening, and actually starting to understand what this event can bring to you. Of course, it's better to get prepared ahead of time and know your objectives, but there is always, it's like maybe just for me, but maybe for everybody else, this period when you have to adapt to what is happening around you, and then you actually realize your goals and what did you come for. And for me personally, this event, of course, I had responsibilities as a IFSA official and IFSA delegate, but my personal goals was to extend my network and to see if I can study abroad as being a bachelor student. And actually, my IFSA contacts helped me a lot about it, because I started talking to them about it. And Maximilian, who was studying back there in the University of Freiburg, introduced me to one of the head of the departments in this university. And it was a very nice experience, because it was also a very useful contact in UFRO. And even though I didn't get to study in University of Freiburg, I still find those contacts extremely useful, because even after many years of this event, I could have reached out to those contacts when the war in Ukraine began, and we needed to find the support for myself and of course for all Ukrainian students. And actually through these contacts we created with you for a very nice project to support Ukrainian students, where the international students could participate as well. So as you see, some back in the years, some conversation through my IFSA contact helped me to create my network that was used for a very good purpose and fulfill IFSA values and UFRO values, I believe, as well, and created something very nice and very meaningful out of it, even though it wasn't used straight away. So I hope I answered your question. I went quite far.
No, it was perfect. Thank you so much. And I think I can talk for everyone, but you're 18 years old, can be proud of what you achieved until now. So congratulations for that. And really, you have demonstrated how this community can support to each other. So that's a really good point. Thank you, Boba. And now the next question. And it's related with what you were saying before. You can approach a lot of important people during these events. So how can you do that? Who can you approach potential partners present on these events?
Yeah, thank you very much. Just exactly. Like, as you know, usually at the events, there are many organizations present, not only YOS and students, but of course, first of all, the OC who is hosting the event, different research organization. If we are talking about the UN like COPs and UN events, there are also parties representatives, and of course, NGOs, IGOs, and different organizations, corporations, many people who are doing very important job and whose values we might share. So how do we actually reach them out? So I would say there are like a few very good ways. As I mentioned before, for example, during or after the side event, you have a schedule of a side event which is happening. You find the organization you're interested in, or the party or the topics that you like. Then you come there, you listen this, and there is also always the time for questions, and you can be very smart and ask very good questions so they remember you, of course. Or you can also reach them out after the event, because everything happening at the ground, right? So speakers are not disappearing and like just disconnecting from the Zoom, and you cannot reach them out ever again, but they just walk from the stage, and you come close to them saying, okay, I'm a student, I'm really interested. Do you have these opportunities? I'm representing IFSA. And this way you can start the communication just from the people and from the topic that you like, that you find interesting for yourself and potentially for IFSA. Then, as I mentioned, also through the mentorship programs, because I participated in two, I think, in UFRO World Congress, as I did during my first delegation, and at the E5 Forest Policy Conference in 2020, where we had IFSA mentorship program, where you just fill the form, you state your main interests and what would you like to do, and then the person, IFSA matchmaker, I think it was for pen pals, sorry, but anyway, and it's just a joke, but then for the mentorship program, you set up with a mentor, so with a professor or the representative of an organization who would like to share their knowledge and actually give you some inputs. And this way, you have access to the network of the person who already have built their own career, who can share and willing to share their experience on the topic you like, and also maybe introduce you to someone that you find interesting as well. That would be a very good way as well. I would say I got some nice contacts from the forest in entomology, I think, in South Africa, and also I met some representative of university in Europe that I was using later on as well, as I was mentioning before. And the other way, also the third one, I think, it's could be through the existing contacts, as I mentioned again, through the IFSA delegates that they are present already. For example, if there is someone who is more experienced in the delegates, they're already meeting people that they know there, right? Or they can be a head of subcommission for this specific event. and you can ask them directly to introduce you to the OC team. And this way you can know people and extend your own network. But talking about partners, again, this way I just said that how you in general approach people, but talking about partners is quite similar. You just start in the conversation, and I would say that you need just to have some background about IFSA and know how to work and what is the current interest of IFSA, right? We're usually just looking for opportunities for students or for funding and for any ways that could be interesting for our students to participate in. So you might have a short description or short presentation of IFSA, just briefly, so the person understands the structure, main values and ideas of what we are doing. Then you can ask them the same way about their organization, and then just try to brainstorm together on the ways of collaborations that you can have between organization. Again, it's creation of educational materials or participation of IFSA delegates in their events, or you can invite them to the IFSA events, for example, or find some unique opportunities for the webinars, workshops, just to share what they're doing with our students and to find what is the students interesting about this organization. That would be the main points. And I would say just look for some things that would be beneficial for IFSA and for them. You can also invite other IFSA delegates there who also can be an IFSA official who are more experienced of talking with them to start the official procedure, let's say. But in general, you can just talk and brainstorm a little, then just change contacts of your or of the head of delegation, and then try to keep in touch through the email and make this partnership official, let's say. That afterwards you're just saying, okay, we met at this event, it was very nice, we talked about this and this, maybe we can set up a call, then we introduce it to the all IFSA body, and then all our mechanisms work it all best, and people get opportunities and partners get students for them.
Thank you so much, Volodymyr. It's really important to have a follow-up after you approach people during this event. So thanks for reminding us that. And in general, thank you for your inputs during this session. It was really, really nice and really helpful for us to understand a little bit more about this part of the networking during the delegations. So thank you so much for your participation and for accepting being here. So now we are moving to the second part of this workshop. So for this, we have now the session of building a delegation. So now our speaker is Binsar Sihotang, our current head of UNFF Sub-Commission. So hi, Binsar. Thank you so much. Would you like to say something before we start?
Yeah, hi, Jasmine. Hi, everybody. So my name is Binsar Sihotang. I'm from Indonesia. I'm currently the head of UNFF Sub-Commission. I'm studying my master at TU Dresden here in Germany. Yeah, maybe that's all first.
Thank you so much. It's really nice that we can learn a little bit more about you.
Yeah.
So now we start with the Q&A part. So our first question is, what are the steps to build a delegation? So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now.
Yeah, I do have a presentation. Like it's very like 1 or 2 pages about this step of building or like selecting the delegations process. I can present it now.
Yes.
Just this is based on the experience that we had during the United Nations Framework Forum on Forest session which was held last May in New York City. So there were 12 delegates during that session, and I think we are very proud with this kind of delegations because it was actually like the most diverse delegates that we've ever had during for this session, and it was diverse, and it was also well represented by the gender, and also well represented by the region, because it's not only people who are coming from the United States or maybe from Europe who can attend this meeting, but also people or students who are coming from Southeast Asia or Asia. And also one of the delegates is coming from the Africa. So it's very diverse and also well represented. So this is actually the steps of the selection processes. So the first one, like before the event itself, there are at least it should be like the open call. We have to make an open call. We have to make an open call for these delegations processes, and it needs at least 2 or 3 months prior the event. So all of the participants or all of the students can actually prepare for everything, like for visa, for maybe flight ticket, and also for all administration processes. So I think it should be like better to have the open call before like 3 or 2 months before the event. So it can be, so the delegation delegation itself can be more diverse and also well represented in each region. And I know that it is also like can be challenging that you have diverse people and you have a lot of opinions in your delegations processes, and it can be challenging, but this is actually one of the learning processes that we have to like deal with that, like because sometimes each delegates has their own interests. Like for instance, maybe okay, I'm attending this event because I want to learn something. I don't really want to contribute in this IFSA delegations processes and everything, but I just want to attend it because I want to visit the city or the country, something like that. But we cannot really see that interest or like their like motivation behind it. But what we do see like their motivations on paper, like that's why it can be very challenging to have this kind of diverse people. But this is actually very good because like our experience previously, when we have a lot of diverse people and when we have a lot of people who are studying at different level. We have 2 PhD students who are joining this event, and we have around 3 or 4 people who are studying master, and the rest of them, or like around 6 people, are studying bachelor. So this is actually, we can also learn or see their perspective or their motivation to join this event. It's also quite different because sometimes they are very active, and sometimes maybe, okay, I just want to like chill or just take a picture for the documentations and everything, or like vlogging or anything. But it's not that. I mean, I would say it's also like good for us because we as a youth, like we have to like promote or like share what we learn or like what we have done or like something like that. We also have to share it. That's why it's actually very good to have this kind of diverse student perspective in this conference. So I think it's very good to have these diverse delegates to attend the IFSA delegations. And to get that, we have to make an open call 2 or 3 months before that. And I think we also have to like do I mean, IFSA website is not really, I mean, it can be helpful for us to like promote the open call, but we also have to encourage, or like we can also invite our friends to apply for it, or we can also send the email personally and everything. So I think it will be better to have like more people to join us in the delegations process. So it can be well represented in all aspects, region, gender, and also like the study of level and everything. So I think diverse is very important for these delegations. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Binsar. We see with the people who's building the delegation also have a lot of work to do, but it's really, really nice to hear these inputs. And it's the next question is related of what you just said, but if you want to complement your answers, what are the skills that a delegate should have?
Okay, so the skills that delegates should have is, I mean, the first is like strong motivation or like strong passion to attend the conference. When you don't really have the skill, it's okay. I mean, people will always help you to do that. Like, I mean, within the delegation itself, we help each other to do something. When you don't understand, ask someone who have this expertise to, or like who have this expertise, who can answer it. So I think there is no specific skills to be a delegate, but you have to have a strong passion, and also you have to have strong motivations to attend this whole processes. Based on the experience that we had actually in this UNFF session, actually, like I've said previously, like people have their own interests and people that have their own motivations, but one of them is actually very motivated to attend the event. I mean, she didn't really like create all of the information that I've given, but the thing is, during the event, she's really like determined, or like really want to listen to the whole process of the event. And also that's why I think it's also like a good for her, and also it's also good for us, because after the end of the day, we always have this kind of reflection or like discussion between each other. So we actually share what we've got, or like what we learned today, and this is very good to have share this experience and also share this knowledge, because sometimes we are spread it during the event, and after the event we actually discuss, oh, I met this guy and he was talking about this, blah blah blah, and also the other student actually also tell their story. Oh yeah, I know about that discussion. Yeah, this is very important, and blah blah blah. So it's actually very important to have this kind of reflection after the end of the day. And it's also, I mean, you don't have to have that particular skills, but strong motivation is like mandatory for you to attend this event, because I mean, if you don't have motivation, so I think you will not be selected as the delegates, of course, because we are also selecting the delegates from your motivations itself. So I think that's very important to have strong motivations. And other skills, it can be, I mean, other delegates can help you with that, or yeah, we can figure it out when you are struggling with something, or when you don't have the answer for these kind of delegations or everything. So I think we are helping each other on these delegations. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Binsar. So for people there in the audience interested, being motivated, that's the key to be selected.
Yeah, that's true.
They can always develop more skills necessarily.
Yeah, maybe I can add one more thing. I'm sorry, Jasmine. So it's also like the experience, like sometimes when you also have, I think, like more than other people experience, sometimes they are also get arrogant or cocky. I mean, not really many people, but the thing is, when you do have that kind of like, you feel like you are in the like I would say like higher experience, but sometimes maybe, I mean, it can be something like that, because you don't really want to active in that kind of participations, because you feel like, okay, I've already experienced this. Okay, so what? Like, this is something not new for me. So I think some people also like do that. So I think when we're looking for the new people, they're very I mean, they're very determined, and they're very motivated to join this event. So I think it's also good to have this kind of new perspective for us to, I mean, well, experience is important, because we can learn from the mistakes or the failures that we made, or like we can learn from the somethings that we made previously. But new perspective is also important for us to like give a new experience or like new perspective for this delegation. So I think everybody is very welcome to like join the delegations, every delegations, and also just apply for it, and you will get a new experience. You will get experience with the IFSA family and everything. So I would recommend for everyone, if you have the time or like the chance to apply for being delegates, just apply for it. Go for it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Binsar. So you hear, new ideas are always welcome. Thank you. So now our final question, and this is something have been mentioned a little bit in past answers. Side events or youth declarations. If it's possible to have one as IFSA during these events, how you can engage with the delegation to organize these kind of activities?
Yeah, I think I want to also share one screen actually about this, because this is also regarding our work or like our statement previously during the event, the UNFF itself. So during this session, the United Nations Forum on Forest event, we actually delivered 3 youth statements. So the event was held for about 5 days. So on the second, third, and also fourth day, we always deliver some statement on particular agenda or on particular topics. So this one is about the implementations of the UNSPF. UNSPF is a United Nations Strategic Partnership on Forest. So it is actually delivered by one of the delegates from Yale, because before the meeting, we actually had this kind of preparations meeting. So at that time, I delivered, I raised the issue, like you actually can deliver statement or deliver the intervention as long as you really like know the topic itself. So this is actually made or developed by one of the delegates, and with the collaborations with me and also Agustina, of course, because we also have to like make sure that this is also appropriate and this is also delivered the perspective of youth and children, because we are representing children and youth in this forum. So this is actually very good for us. Like we have as long as you have an idea, just deliver it to the head of delegations or like the coordinator of the delegates, so we can actually discuss about it. And this is actually very good because it gets complimented by the IFSA alumni. I don't know if you guys know him. JC from Australia, he was actually like the IFSA president previously, and also IFSA head of UNFF Sub-Commission also. So I think he was actually mentioning that it was actually nice and also comprehensive to have this kind of youth statement, because I think he also actually didn't expect that we were that active. And he was also said that it is actually the best delegations ever during the UNFF session, because we were very active actually at the time. We were very diverse and we were very engaged to the event. So I think this is very, just if you have an idea to the delegations, just deliver it and just say it to the coordinator of the events or like the head of delegation, so we can figure it out whether this is doable or whether this is not doable. Because sometimes we have to have this kind of restriction, because if it is especially UNFF itself, it is very political. Like we have to really careful in our intervention or like in our statement. We don't want to like blame someone or like blame some member countries who are like not doing their job, like something like that. So we have to be careful with that kind of sensitive issues and everything. So yeah, so to be involved in this kind of processes, just deliver what you have taught and just what is your insight on and everything. So I think it can be very very successful. And there is also This is delivered. This is the third statement. It is delivered by Agustin, our president. It's about our contributions to the UNSP, our contributions to the global forest goals, and everything. It's very comprehensive, and it's also get complimented by many by IFSA alumni itself, and also some members said also like it's actually very good to have this kind of like segment, something like that. So I think that's very good to have this kind of very active participations during the event itself. And for the site event, actually, this is actually very good example for us. Within UNFF itself, there are around 9 major group itself. There is we as a major group, children and youth, and there is also farmers, indigenous people, women, and everything. So we actually take the lead to initiate this kind of side event. So but unfortunately, there is only one representative from the farmer, and the other major group cannot attend due to the financial problem and everything. We actually take this kind of initiative to hold this side event. It was actually very surprising, like the speaker. So we have 4 speakers actually. 3 of them are from IFSA itself, or the representing of youth and children. And in this case, one is from Gambia, one is from Indonesia, one is from Germany. So it's actually very well diverse, or like in the panel itself, because actually there is a representative from the global south, and also there is a representative from the global north. So it was actually very nice to hear it, and it also get compliments by IFRO president John Parota, because it's actually nice to hear the perspective of youth itself during this kind of meeting. So that's very actually very motivated for us if you get compliment by other people, or like by esteemed delegates like John Parota, and also one of them is I think his name is Ismail. He is the vice chair of the UNFF secretariat itself. So it was very successful, and everybody can actually involve in every aspect, like side event, youth statement, documentations. If you are like very expert in taking videos, or like in anything in social media, so just do it, or like just involve in everything. You can get many experience and many knowledge from it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Binsar. I think with this, we have more insight of what was the delegation you participate on. We understand a little bit more about what is required from us to be a delegate. So thank you so much for your answers. Also, thank you to both of you for your participation here. It was really, really nice to hear from you. I think we learned a lot today here. So before we pass to the Q&A part from the audience, we want to ask you to turn on your cameras. We are going to take a nice picture of everyone here. Okay. Okay, Damia, are you ready? Yes, okay. 1, 2, 3. Good. Yes.
Yes, we got a good one.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Namia. Thank you everyone for turning on your cameras. So now we want to give you the floor to ask your question to our speakers. You can do it through the chat box here, or also on this Slido, you can scan the QR. It's the same session that we had at the start of this workshop. So please go ahead. Okay, we already have someone typing. Oh, you can just type. You don't need to draw on the screen. I remember I saw a question on the chat, and it's how many people normally are selected? Boba, Binsar, who would you like to answer this one?
For the UNFF itself, because I'm focusing on UNFF itself, so it's actually up to 20 people or like 20 students. This year there are about like 18 or like 19 people who are applying for this. But the thing is, some people cannot make it because of the financial problems and everything. So because we don't have the I mean, IFSA supports some of the accommodation support, but it is partial. So it depends on the IFSA budget itself. But this year, IFSA supports some of the accommodations, but accommodations for the people who are really need that. But for the UNFF, around 20 people who can attend this this event.
Thank you, Binsar. Boba, do you want to?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Jess. I would like to add a little to the answer. As I was working with many other delegations, I would say that it very depends on the event that we're having. For example, if it's the forest dialogue, for example, which is not a very big event, the delegation can be limited to 1 or 2 people, and at the same time there can be COP or Youth for World Congress or FAO or Forestry Conference, where we have huge delegations like 10 or 15 people. So I would say it's between this range from 1 to 20, maybe.
Thank you so much, Boba. So the number of delegates is going to depend the event that we are participating in. So now, related to that question, financial barriers sometimes what prevents from even applying to be part of a delegation. Are there any supports from IFSA? How much is the coverage?
Maybe I will try to answer, and then Fofa maybe will. I don't know if Fofa will answer about the rest. Like from the experience that we had during the UNFF session itself, it's actually based on the availability of the fund that IFSA has every year, because every year it can be very different. And during this session, or during this UNFF session, it's like partial of your accommodations get support by the IFSA. But I was also participating in UNFF triple COP meeting or a UNFCCC last year in Egypt. It was fully supported by IFSA. So it's actually depending on fully support for the accommodations. That's why it's actually depending on the budget from IFSA itself, because the board has to like manage for everything. That's my understanding.
Yeah.
So do you want to answer me the same question, right, about the financial support for the delegations, right?
Yeah, if you want to complement, or we can move to another one.
Yeah, maybe I can briefly explain that if we have funds, we are trying to support our participants the best way we do. But unfortunately, IFSA is not producing money itself. So we rely on donors and partners to get funding to participate in the delegation. And sometimes it can be the case that we have no funding for the delegation, or there is no way that we can support people because it's too much money, and unfortunately we don't have. So sometimes it's very unfortunate, and we cannot support people, but of course that's one of our main focus that we are working on this. And lately, if you have a look, for example, at the COP28 open call, one of the delegates' responsibilities would be to support the head of Sub-Commission to work on the fundraising and actually find the ways that the delegation can be supported to come, because there are many organizations who can be who will be ready to support IFSA students to come there, but it's just too much work, and sometimes being the head of delegation, there is just no time to work on that by yourself. So that's why we have delegations who are working to help with the side events, and also with the fundraising, so you can support yourself. And as Binsar was mentioning earlier, that if you have motivation, I would encourage you to apply anyway. And then if you have enough motivation, there will be all the supports that we can give to find funding for you.
Thank you so much, Paula and Vincent, for your answers. So now it's related to what you're saying now. This question, when it comes to selecting the delegates, are experienced candidates prefer, or are you looking for a blank canvas? So what is, if you can explain a little bit more about this procedure?
Yeah, so I think we cannot really like decide. I mean, if you don't have that kind of experience, we cannot really select you if you don't have strong motivations, or like your motivation is very outstanding. It really depends on your applications, of course, and it really depends on how can you answer it. And on the other hand, it can also be depend on the budget that you have, or like on the funding opportunities that you have when you actually, for instance, when IFSA has this kind of slot, or like IFSA for UNFF, for instance, IFSA has 20 spots for this event. So when not many people are applying for this event, but you already have funding to secure you to attend the event, so you can also be selected for it. So it actually, I mean, the first priority will be like the people who are having that kind of experience, and also the second priority, the strong motivations that delegates can offer to the delegations or to the table. And the third, if you are already secured your funding to attend the delegations, because sometimes some people cannot really attend, or some people attend, something like that. So so if you have the funds, you can also be selected to represent IFSA, but it will also depending on the how many spots that we have in that event. So I cannot really tell. I mean, there is no exact rules, but it can actually be depending on many factors, like how many people who are at the spots, and also your applications and everything.
Thank you, Vinsar. What you would like to say something more about this?
Yes, sure. So talking about the selection of the candidates for the delegation, I would say that very depends, as Binsar mentioned, on the conditions that we have on the event which is happening. If, for example, we have funding for the delegates, which is often the case with the forest dialogue, for example, then there will be no such factor as a self-support to travel. Then we will just basically work on the motivation and understanding of the person who is applying and what they're going to bring for the delegation and for the IFSA, for example, and what will be the most beneficial for all of us. And you're asking how you test the knowledge of the delegates about the event they're applying. We have the full form for the delegates where they have to write their motivation and what they're going to bring for the event, and with different questions, with requests for explanation of their understanding and their expectations from the events. We're trying to get the overview, who is the person and what they're interested in. And usually, since we have limited spots, we managed to select, I believe, very good delegations. But of course, it's not without doubt. Sometimes it might be you might think that it's needed to have interview, but it's just too much of the process, too much time and too much work that it's not just that I don't think can work, because again, if we're applying for the delegation, all the time is very limited, so we have to do everything fast. And through the improvements of the registration form and our delegation organization process, we're trying to get the delegation activities as best as possible. That's why actually, if you're a delegate after the event, you're asked to fulfill the feedback form for the delegation, so we can understand what was your experience and what we can make better for you or for other people to participate in the next one. It's very important part of being as a part of IFSA delegation. I hope I answered your question.
Thank you so much for your answer. And yeah, every delegation is different, so each one will have a different procedure for this. So now the last question, and it's kind of a mix of both of these. We are participating in delegation as youth, but during these events, there's a lot of people with a lot more experience than us. There are CEOs and directors and a lot of important people. Do they really listen to youth statements? Who wants to go first?
Can I go ahead?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So I think it's actually varied. Like some of the countries actually supported our statement, some are not, because their interests are very different when seeing the perspective of children and youth, or like the perspective of non-state actors in this case. So that's why I would say it's very different depending on which country. But the thing is, this year, this session actually, we like our work, or the major group works, actually is being supported by the German government, because they see that the roles of the major group should be improved, and they actually supported the major group. They actually give a commitment to the UNFF Secretariat to support the activities of the major group itself. But I'm not really sure, because this is actually managed by the UNFF Secretariat. But based on their statement during the session, actually, they mentioned that they want to do something to the improvement, or like the improvement of the activities from the major group. So it can be very diverse, but some people also think, I mean, some countries also think, I mean, not some, this is my personal perspective actually, because I would say like many countries actually supported the youth perspective, but the thing is sometimes they cannot really show it to us, because it's not their priority to support us. So, but the thing is, maybe like from their personal point of view, they want to support us, but maybe they have their own behind interest, or like the perspective from their countries, or like the interest from their countries. So I think they cannot support us. That's why I would say like many countries supported us, the children, especially the vulnerable people, children and youth, indigenous people and women. So they're very very concerned about these groups.
Thank you so much, Binsar. It was a really complicated question.
Yeah.
But yeah, your answer right. Thank you. Boba?
Yeah, thank you. I think I'll try to add a little bit to Binsar's answer, because I would say, if you're asking about our engagement in UN processes, it's very important to understand when the IFSA stands, because for the UNFF, this whom Binsar is actually working, we have the most power, I think, because we are the youth representative, and we actually get to talk on the negotiations, and we have a time and slot to talk on the negotiation with parties. So they have to listen to us at least, and then of course some of them might disagree or agree, but that's all what the negotiations about, right? But you have official negotiations during the session, and afterwards you can go and talk to the separate party representatives out of the table and bring your ideas, make them understand what is the value, what is the importance. And that's actually the challenge for us, to come up with the statement which will still bring our values and the important thing that we want to work on, and make it global, so all the parties gonna agree on this. And this is not a challenge only for us, but for a lot of other organizations and international challenges. So that's the work we're actually doing. So we cannot say that there will always be one ways that everybody agree, but that's all continuous work, I would say. And regarding the other UN processes, I would say that unfortunately we don't have such power as a being presented as a part of as being a separate speaker on the sessions with the parties. For example, we are an NGO, so we're gonna be we can be in alliance with other NGOs and try to work on together on a statement that will be presented by other NGO from the group of NGOs, and this way we can make our contribution, but mostly we are an observers. And still, even though we cannot talk to the parties during the negotiations, we can try to reach them out on the out of the negotiation table. So during the informal part, let's say, where we can talk and try to talk to them directly and bring our ideas. And yeah, as I was saying, of course, since you are bringing your ideas, there will be never the case that everybody agrees with you 100%, and that will be work for you to make them, not make them, but to bring your ideas and try to explain to them the way that they understand and agree with you, and actually try to proceed the IFSA values. I would say, I hope that I answered your question.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we as you, we have a lot to say during this event, so it's complicated. But thank you so much to both of you for answering these questions. We cannot continue with the rest because time we don't have a lot now, but once again we want to thank you both of you for your inputs, your knowledge. I think we learned a lot today. We understand more about the delegations, and I hope we can see these people applying for the open calls we have. So now, before we go, we have the closing remarks. For this, we have Damian Srivastava. So please go ahead, Damian. Damian, are you there?
Yes, I just came back. I'll start with the closing remarks. Thank you, Jazz. And I hope that you enjoyed attending this delegation workshop as much as we enjoyed putting it together. The recording of the session will be available on the IFSA YouTube channel very soon. And for all who have missed it in this event today, we can all access it there online. A module of the same will be available on the Tree Learning platform online. And we want to know about your feedback of delegation, more questions, more opinions, and all of the engagement that we see here. We can also avail it online. So please let us know about that. And I think we have the next slide for the open calls. Because we were talking so much about opportunities and the delegation events that are present in IFSA, please take note of all of the open calls we have. Currently, we have 3 open. These are with WFF, with the GLF, and with the European Bioeconomy University. And you can find more information about all of them on our IFSA website and on the social media platforms. And finally, again, from our team, we would like to extend a big hearty thanks to our speakers, Vova and Binsar, for sharing their expertise and knowledge. And we would also like to thank our audience for being curious about this topic and for interacting with our social media posters and for all of the engagement and the liveliness that we have seen today. With this, we'd like to thank you, and we would bid adieu here, and a big cheers for your next delegation event. Thank you all for your attention.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much for having me.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.